What is up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're here for another edition of the UNC Football Show. I promise you guys, I'm going to go ahead and say it, AJ. I'm going to put the stake in the ground right now. I promise you guys this will be the fastest football show we've done this year because we're only going to talk about North Carolina and NC State. We've already done 2 podcasts on Mack Brown and the news that obviously broke on Tuesday with that. So we're not going to dive into specifics about that. I'm sure we'll talk a little Mack Brown in some way, shape, or form in this podcast. But this is going to be strictly football talk right here, AJ. This is going to be the quickest one we've done. I'm putting the stake in the ground.
Okay. The more motivated team wins Saturday. Boom. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to hit the notification bell.
Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate it. We'll see y'all next time.
You know, seriously.
Man. You're right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
You're absolutely right, man. I think, and again, we're not going to dive into specific, like, stats and a lot of, it's not going to be very stat heavy or
I don't think any of that matters. You and I let me speak for both of us. I'm interrupting the hell out of you, and I apologize.
No, take it.
I don't think any of that matters.
No.
What you've seen from CJ Bailey, the only thing I'll say is got to contain, got to have eyeballs on them. And if you get them trapped, bring them down. Otherwise, you're in trouble. That's it. That's the key for the defense. For the offense, win the battle up front, run the ball, and give Omarion the damn ball. And I say damn because they have the run the damn ball hats. Give him the ball, period.
It's that simple. It really is, man. 4th and 2 and roll Jacoby out to the right. I asked Chip about that on Monday. I think he knew. Hey, we blew it. It's a crappy call. Yeah. 100%.
He's a good offensive coordinator, but that was a crappy call. Yeah. You get a first down there, maybe you start to generate some rhythm. And suddenly there's not such a disparity in plays and time of possession and all that goodwill. Junk.
Yeah.
Crap,
whatever you do. Yeah.
Do not let Bailey get loose and run the ball and make Omarion a star. He needs 246 yards, I think it is, to pass Don McCauley. Give him every opportunity to do it. Period. Yeah. There's my analysis.
I love it. I think that's all we need to say, really. I don't even know if we need to come on here and talk anymore about NC State because, I mean, every Carolina fan listening to this could care less about anything about NC State. But I will say this like I always do because I do want to stick to the regularly scheduled, our regularly scheduled program a little bit. You know, I like to at least talk about the game a little bit. Saturday afternoon kickoff, 3:30 p.m. in Chapel Hill. State 5-6, 2-5 in ACC play. Have lost 4 of the last 6. Tough season for them. Just haven't been very good at all, to say the least. And, you know, coming into a season where they were expected to be pretty good, and different factors have led to that. But, you know, on the flip side, AJ, it's a Carolina program that just has not been able to beat State in the last few years. Lost 3 in a row. We've seen some miraculous collapses, a couple which I've been 5 feet from in Carter Finley. So it is a really, really important game for North Carolina in a lot of ways because they just need to beat State. And with Mack going out, this will be his final home game. Let me say this at the time of recording, keyword there. We don't know if he will coach in the bowl game. So this very well could be his last game at North Carolina as the
that decision
coach.
Might be made by the time this runs. We're recording this Tuesday. We're running it Thursday morning.
I think the decision will be
Let me
made.
throw something else too. I think there's some goodwill. There's a goodwill factor here. We can maybe have this discussion. We have not planned this show at all, by the way.
No, this is impromptu.
This is shooting from the hip as much as it gets. The Carolina fans need to see a win over State. The only win in Chapel Hill since Gio's punt return was the COVID year.
Oh, God, you're right. Oh, man, that's how I actually – my brain just exploded. You're right.
Yeah.
That's bad.
2014 was horrendous. That's when they were totally flat, 28-7. 16 – trying to remember exactly what happened in that game. That was Mitch's. They lost because they closed poorly that year. They lost 3 of their last 4.
18, they had a brawl on the field after
18 was the brawl on the field when Larry was asked what they were doing. He goes, celebrating. And I asked the question, what were they celebrating? He's like, we weren't celebrating. Okay. Larry was gone. A few hours later, I was talking to Coach Cap on the phone for an hour that night about it. Yeah, and wow, what a time. And then 20, Carolina won, but there was nobody in the stands. And then 22 was when Burnett missed the field goal in overtime and Carolina lost.
Yeah. found a way.
So Carolina fans, by and large, have not witnessed in person a win over NC State in 12 years since Tom O'Brien inexplicably punted to Gio Bernard.
You just blew my mind. I knew they weren't very good against State at home, but I'm going to be very honest. I'm just full disclosure here. I did not know it had only been one win.
So think of what can come. Let's say they send Mack out with a win. All the anti-Mack people are going to love on him this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the sanest Twitter thread for a game in the history of North Carolina football on Saturday. There will be very little insanity out there. People are going to love on him. They're going to want to send Mack out with a win. It could be one of those days where there's so much positive emotion after a season that's been very trying for so many people over there.
Yeah.
And then maybe 48 hours later, less than that, they name a new football coach. And Carolina fans can go into that after beating NC State. A new coach is going to come in. It's going to say all the right things. The school's going to spend more money on the next program and the next regime. And that guy's going to say, open up your pocketbooks. So the next coach, who has no idea right now he's the next coach, at least while we're recording this, doesn't realize he wants North Carolina to win Saturday.
But he wants North Carolina.
Because that will help him.
Yeah. It'll help him out a lot.
You can have 48 hours of nothing but love for North Carolina football from its fans. It's been a long time. Because even when Mack was hired, there were a lot of people saying, hey, they're trying to dig up his old bones and bring him back in here. There were a lot of people Didn't like it. And never, ever, ever got on board.
No.
They didn't like Bubba saying, man, you couldn't go and get anybody, so you had to go back and get a retread. People didn't like it. It wasn't a 100% deal. This right now has a chance to be a one. Even when Larry was hired, the program was marred and all that NCAA stuff at the time, the first of 2 investigations. So this is the first time there can be all is okay, all has a potential of being okay, no cloud hanging over, hire since they brought in Butch Davis. And hell, they did that. John Bunning finished out the season. I mean, that was a weird situation too.
I know.
So
they need to win.
Yeah, they need to win. Get everybody happy. Lather them up. Get them filled with groceries and barley and hops and have a good time. And I would put NIL machines all over the concourse Saturday. Or what I would do if I'm Bubba, create all these NIL kiosks. So if they're beating State, I would drop the price of alcohol in half. Put a bunch of NIL kiosks out there and hope people get all, in the mindset to say, you know what, here's a couple hundred.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As they're walking out after a win over the Wolfpack.
Oh, God, yeah. They make a ton of money in that hour.
Giant collection plates.
That's what they need, man. I mean, no, you're right. I'm glad you brought up Butch Davis, AJ, because I was thinking about this. I thought about this about an hour after the Mack Brown news broke. I said, we've talked a little bit about the revisionist history with Butch Davis that's kind of come out this year. You realize the revisionist history with Mack Brown in 5 years is it's going to be unbelievable to watch, because people will talk about Mack. Fans will talk about Mack just like they talk about Butch Davis now, a guy who
depends on what the next guy does.
That is true.
If the next guy sucks, it's like right now, everybody that complained about Armando Bacot last year.
Yeah. Now they're
looking out there saying, boy, I sure wish we had an Armando Bacot right now. So if the next guy comes in here and pulls a Torbush or a Bunning, they're going to look back and say, yeah, maybe Mack wasn't that bad after all.
I love it. It's going to happen at some point. I hope that I do hope the next guy, whoever, I hope he comes in and does a nice job. It'd be cool to see North Carolina.
I just hope he gets his access and he doesn't, he's not trying to plan the D-Day invasion every week. I don't want one of those guys.
I love that analogy. That's my favorite analogy of all time.
I don't want a guy who doesn't answer questions, who gives us no access. Like if you cover Kirby Smart in Georgia, you get like only Kirby a couple times during fall camp. I hate that crap.
No. It literally.
North Carolina, you need to get Mack. What Mack was brilliant about getting people to know who these players are.
Oh yeah,
getting storylines out there, and I have squeezed that lemon every week for 6 years, and I have run so much content. We have run so much content about that program. And I think our readers know so much more about the program now than they did at the end of the Larry era because there's been so much more access and it's been better for everyone.
Absolutely.
To be perfectly honest with you. The next guy should understand he's in North Carolina. He's not at Georgia. He's not at Tennessee, someplace where, it's different. North Carolina, it's like Wake Forest used to be really good about giving you all this access in football. I remember standing on the field with Jim Grove during practice. When I remember sitting in the stand, they have a little practice gym on Wake's campus in basketball. I was allowed to go in there and watch practice. Skip Prosser comes up, sits down next to me, and we're talking.
Oh, that's just
Gaudio, after Skip passed, we're sitting there talking about the team. Oh, yeah, Jamal Levy this, Jamal Levy that. I mean, North Carolina is kind of like that in football. Open things up and let people know who you are and tell a lot of stories, good stories. And if you win games, then those good stories are magnified.
100%.
I need to understand that.
100%. You make a great point there because Fedora, especially towards the end, was not like that, and a lot of football coaches aren't like that.
I don't talk quarterbacks. I don't talk quarterbacks.
Mack is unique in that perspective of actually giving people access. So yeah, that part about covering the program.
Even the Chaz Surratt story. When Larry knew I had it, Larry confirmed it for me. Mm-hmm. And he's asked about it after practice. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know about that report. Like, dude, you confirmed it to me 2 hours ago. And I made a deal with you that I would wait until after the interview that I would report that Cade Fortin was the starting quarterback this week.
Fantastic. You got to love it, man.
You pull that crap and then, this is a give and take here.
So like I said, man.
I got a lot of stories, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Some people, it's like you said, I love the analogy. It's like playing in the Allied invasion of Europe, man. It's lockdown mode, and we do not tell you anything. But AJ, back to
by the way, I have some of that black sand in here somewhere.
I actually have sand from Utah Beach. I went to France 2019 with a buddy of mine. Grew up with him. He's actually from France. Moved here in high school, but we played soccer together, roomed together in college. Nobody cares. But I've got sand from Utah Beach over here. We actually stayed in Normandy at Carenton for 4 days, I think, which is like bucket list for me because you know me. I'm a massive World War II buff. I'd get it if I could see it. It's over there somewhere. Yeah, probably see a little World War II stuff over there. But
my office looks like a bomb went off in it.
Yeah, I believe it. But AJ, back to the topic at hand. Again, this is going to be a shorter podcast. Let me ask you this, because, again, winnable game for North Carolina. So many reasons to win this game. State having a really bad year. I don't think they're a good team at all, really. They're behind North Carolina in the standings. Now I also believe a rivalry game, all that stuff kind of goes out the window, and I could easily see Carolina losing to NC State. I mean, they have lost 3 in a row to them. Haven't one win in Keenan since the Geo game 2012. So would it surprise anybody if Carolina lost on Saturday? Absolutely not. But I do think this is a game that Carolina should win, and maybe it's the best opportunity for Carolina to beat State than at least maybe the last couple of years, although they did lose to a backup quarterback at Chapel Hill, so I might take that back.
They're in tier.
Yeah. It's tough. But does the Mack news, how do you look at that? Because it goes one of two ways, right? For me, I look at it and I say, galvanizes the team, motivation to win. We want to send our coach out with a win at home, and it also could be his last game. We don't know at the time of recording. So you look at it that way, and you also look at it on the opposite and say, well, you talk about a lot of distractions. I mean, this came out on Tuesday morning, so you got all these distractions. Man, we're not even thinking about football. Our coach, who we love and care about, is fired and not going to be back, and we got senior day, a lot of emotions surrounding that as well. You can kind of look at it both ways, but how do you see it? Do you lean more on the side of usually this ends up and results in a positive thing for your program, or do you look at it in the flip and be like, yeah, this is not good going into a rivalry?
Usually when a coach is fired, players kind of have an idea it's coming.
Yeah, they can kind of feel it.
But the reaction I've seen on social media and just from sniffing around a little bit, there's a lot of surprise. And also the news broke while they were at practice Tuesday morning. And then they were in meetings afterward. And then the kids have to run to class. So
it's a lot.
It's sort of a trickle of response. 10 years ago, I would say it's galvanizing almost every time. Now you've got a roster filled with kids who are thinking about what's their future. They may not be thinking as much about NC State as, where am I going to be in school next year? Will I be here? Who's the coach going to be? Will you like me? Do I have to work my butt off to get to this status? And am I got to start over again? There's a lot because it's his business now. They're professionals. They have to look out for themselves. Well, that's the culture now. Like it or not, that's the culture now. So it's not as much a lock to be galvanizing as it used to be. Mm-hmm. You would think that the NC State factor would help, but again, Carolina's got two kids on the roster. Both could start. That played at State. One was there last year. So we're in a world where, yeah, you hate the other program, but I mean, Jakeem Harris heard for 5 years how horrible North Carolina was and how they're all soft and they suck and they're the Smurfs and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, that Joshua Harris connection.
UNC cheat, and then there's a Josh Harris connection. And then he goes and plays for him. I don't know how much hatred there is among the players and about each program. And 3 in a row, yeah, but the coach just got fired. Hall of Fame legendary coach whom they all love and adore. I don't know. I think it's a crapshoot, honestly. I think if all things are equal and both teams go into this game with the right frame of mind, I think it's not a toss-up, but I think it's like 53-47 Carolina instead of 50-50. And one reason I say that is because as much as it looks like State's worse, State's played a tougher schedule. Mm-hmm. I mean, State's gone to Tennessee and gone to Clemson. Carolina hadn't done anything like that. Mm-hmm. And State got blown out both times.
That's a good point.
Carolina, if they would have played Tennessee and Charlotte, they would have gotten blown out. They would have gone to Clemson, they would have got blown. BC blew them out. JMU blew them out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You're right.
So, and I'm giving Carolina the benefit of the doubt because they're at home, because they've lost 3 in a row, because I do think the motivation factor will be there. There are a lot of kids on this Carolina roster who are playing to get noticed still, which is why I don't think there would be previously didn't think there'd be a ton of opt-outs for the bowl game. A lot of guys need one more game of film. Mm-hmm. So if they approach it that way, I think North Carolina wins. If they're all looking around, where am I going to be next? And they're not looking straight ahead at what's in front of them, they're going to get steamrolled.
What's your prediction?
I haven't made a prediction yet.
What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Carolina wins?
You know what, Jacob? I don't know if I'm ready to make one. I hate to be a damn cop-out, but I think on the surface right now, and my phone is blowing up, by the way, and remember, we're recording this on Tuesday. Okay.
I got some breaking news there, people.
I know. It's unbelievable. I don't know that I'm ready to make a prediction. I guess if you're going to point a candidate in my head, and I don't see one, but I'm going to have, since we're doing the show, I have to say something.
I'll say something, yeah.
Right now, I'm going to say that Carolina's defense makes enough plays to win the game.
Okay.
So Carolina has scored 6 non-offensive touchdowns this season. Incredibly, they are 2-4 in those games, which is part of the problem. They're getting gift points and still not making it work for them. Mm-hmm. So that's among some of the reasons that a change was made. I think they get a non-offensive touchdown Saturday. I think they get at a point where the game's sort of at a fork in the road and they go off in the right direction and separate some. That's what I'm going to predict right now happens. My official prediction is in our staff picks, and it could change. But as of right now, I'm going to go in that direction. But it would not surprise me if the Tar Heels, a lot of them have 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, and they get rolled.
It wouldn't surprise me either. I think it's such a toss-up. I think I predicted him in my staff picks, which I sent in Monday, which just completely has gone out the window now because with the Mack Brown.
Do it over if you want. And I know Chelsea sent hers in. She can do them over too.
I think I'm going to, you know what? I'm just going to stick with it because I was firmly on the 8-4 train, and I'm not jumping off, even though they can't finish 8-4 now. So I think I predicted 31-21 North Carolina. I do think the Mack Brown factor, my opinion, and how I see it playing out, based on the connections the connections of what they've gone through this year with Mack Brown. I think there's a lot of respect and love from it from a player's perspective. So I'm leaning right now towards it benefiting Carolina and them playing better and being a little bit more galvanized. Not to mention, I mean, there's guys on that roster who've never beaten State, AJ. So that senior day, a lot of seniors on this team as well. I'll stick with my prediction of 31-21.
Would I be shocked? Kids that are walking.
Yeah.
So we're going to have something out on Friday, I think, about this. These are a list of the kids that are walking.
It's insane. It's so many guys. So Would I be surprised if Carolina loses? No, absolutely not. Based on what, like I said, I've been on the field for all three of those state losses of the last 3 years. I was 5 feet away from Emeka Emezi's catch on blanking on his name right now. AJ, who's the safety gave up the touchdown in Carter Finley a few years ago? Not that it's important.
Yeah,
number 9. I can't remember his name. How are we both blanking on his name?
The kid that went to Louisville.
Went to Louisville. Was it Virginia? I think 5 minutes, or Penn State, one of those 5 minutes. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I gotten 5 different texts in like the last 3 minutes, and I'm looking at that. I don't even know half of what you just said.
I'm blanking on it too.
Oh,
Not that
I agree. I don't even know what you said, but I agree.
Yeah, I think Carolina wins. I've also, like I said, I've been 5 feet away from some horrific losses to NC State, and 2 of which were kind of invented on the fly, it felt like. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lost it all. So, yeah, man, we'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Like I said, I told you this show would be a lot quicker. AJ's getting 1 billion texts. We've already done 2 podcasts.
Now I'm getting radio requests.
Oh, of course you are. You got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Cam Kelly.
I got one in Virginia too.
Cam Kelly, AJ. Cam Kelly.
Cam Kelly.
Finally. Sorry about that, guys.
I was only like partially. Hey, I was talking about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out because I was
embarrassing for me not to
here's
remember.
Another one. Hold on a second. Here's another one.
Heck, you stick around long enough, you might get some breaking news on the UNC football show. You just never know. You just never, ever know. AJ, I think we've talked about this game enough, right? I think that's all we need to do. Yeah. You talked about it earlier on.
You have to go and do all this stuff because I've literally gotten 6 different texts by different people in the last 3 since you started talking about that touchdown a couple years ago. Live and happening, man. What's you been saying? Live action.
Live action, baby. Just to summarize, run the ball, contain CJ Bailey, and Carolina has a good chance at winning.
And be ready to play, and that will only happen if they're ready to play.
And be ready to play. Carolina's got a good chance of winning. I think they're going to win. AJ hasn't made up his mind yet. Stay tuned.
I'm leaning toward win. Okay. I think these kids care about Mack enough. They'll be ready to play for him.
I'll lean on that side too. We'll see what happens. Like the video if you think Carolina beats State. And also like the video if you want Carolina to beat State. Let's get some likes on these videos, man. We're working hard for you guys today. Things coming out of left and right field today.
And like the video if you wish that you could see all my text messages.
Yeah. Oh, I bet people would be just absolutely loving some of the intel on that iPhone right now. So we're going to head on out of here. I really
have to read all of these all the way through. So I'm putting my glasses on. I went from ugly to uglier.
Don't worry. I'm going to send us off nice. I told you guys this would be a record show. Go listen to the other Mack Brown podcast because we've talked about that at nauseum, and that's what everybody wants to hear about anyway. Those will be out before this show comes out anyway. So just keep it locked to our YouTube channel. And that's why you should be subscribing. And to be honest, that's why you should have the notification bell on too, because you'll know every single time we upload, not to mention press conferences and all that comes with covering the team as well, because we go where the Tar Heels go. So guys, we're going to head out. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones, the fastest edition of the Carolina Football Show in the history of the Carolina Football Show. You guys are welcome.
Good as hell.
We always go 6 hours on these, and I think we've done this one in like 20 minutes, if that. So I'm proud of us, AJ. I really am. Yeah, guys, we'll see what happens on Saturday. And make sure you keep it locked to TarIllustrated.com for all your coverage of Carolina football, basketball, recruiting, and coaching changes as well. Now, we're obviously in the middle of that too. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and see y'all next time. Thanks.